It's time to wake to sleep with the number one sleep authority, Sleep Science Today, and Sleep Better Tonight.
What if you could wake up without actually waking up? Well, we're going to dive into a concept called lucid dreaming. It's the strange and fascinating state where you realize you're dreaming while you're still inside the dream. Can you control it? Is it safe? And what does it reveal about the sleeping brain? Stay with us because this is where science meets the surreal. We have an expert on today, Dr. Claire Johnson, who's going to be talking with us about lucid dreaming and several other interesting sleep issues. I'm your host, Andrew Kolsky. This is Sleep Science Today. So, Dr. Johnson, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Andrew. I'm really excited to be here. I always love to talk about lucid dreaming and sleep. So this is going to be great. Thank you.
Yes. We've done lots and lots and lots of shows. We have not done a show on lucid dreaming. So this is going to be a
Oh,
first for us. So,
yeah.
as we get into the whole concept, why don't we just start off with a definition? What exactly is lucid dreaming?
Right. So a lucid dream is a dream where you know that you are dreaming while you are asleep and dreaming. So imagine you're physiologically asleep in your bed, dead to the world, to all accounts. But then as you're dreaming, you realize, oh my goodness, everything I see and touch and experience is a dream. And you know that your body's in bed asleep, and yet you're awake in this other world. It's so vivid and amazing. The colors will be stronger. And incredibly, you realize you're in an environment which responds to your thoughts, emotions, expectations, beliefs, and you can allow things to happen. You can engage with the dream consciously. And it's like a conversation. You can guide the dream if you want to, or allow spontaneous things to happen within that dream. But it's an incredible feeling. It's like a magical feeling, really. And yet it's perfectly possible, and anyone can experience it. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So there's a lot of questions that we can talk about related to this because I'm listening to the definition and I'm trying to understand it in my own experiences. And I know that there are people who talk about they know they had dreams, but they don't remember them. There are some
Mhm.
people who do remember their dreams and they don't understand what they mean. Then there's some people who say they know that they dream, but they don't remember anything about it at all. This sounds like something even totally different from that. So can you kind of put all this in perspective for us?
Right. Yeah. So some people have dream recall. That means they wake up in the morning, they say, oh, okay, I remember 3 dreams from last night or 5 dreams. In the first one, I was chasing a golden moose down a hillside. In the second one, I was having an argument with my aunt, and so on. And they remember what they were doing, but they weren't lucidly aware in those dreams because they didn't realize while they were dreaming, hey, this is a dream right now. Okay, so that's the difference. The fundamental difference is the awareness. You have a raised level of awareness in a lucid dream. And the more that we focus on dream recall, on getting used to kind of pulling these interesting experiences with us as we wake up so that we have the memory of them, the easier it becomes to have lucid dreams. So it's a really good idea to try and write down a dream when you wake up. And sometimes all you'll remember will be a feeling. I was sad. So you just write down sad. That's
Mhm.
okay. Maybe when you've written down sad, you'll kind of remember, oh yeah, there was this sort of orange light, and there was my mother or something. You're not really sure, but you can then write down those little things as well, and it becomes a habit. This recollection, this remembering, and you can wake up and very slowly and just ask yourself, what was I just doing? What was I just feeling? And you may recall a color or a shape. So just sort of get into that habit, and that will bring you closer to your dreams, to your dreaming mind, which is deep and powerful and fascinating and healing. And it will also bring you closer to the state of lucid dreaming. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So are you saying that throughout the night, if I wake up to keep like a journal next to my bed so that I can write those things down? Like how is this I'm trying to understand, how is this actually happening? Because if I'm sleeping, obviously I'm not awake to write anything down. So
Yeah, yeah.
tell us
So
more about how exactly this is happening.
right. So these days we have all sorts of technology, right, that can help us. We don't have to write anything down. Some people, what they do is they have like their phone, for example, with an app so that it's voice activated. So in the middle of the night, if they wake up and they've had a dream, they can just mumble the dream description and that will be recorded on their phone. But
Oh.
yeah, so you can easily do that. Or for most people, it's easier to have a stronger, more vivid recall towards the morning because of the nature of the sleep cycle. So we have our most vivid dreams during rapid eye movement sleep, and
Uh-huh.
we cycle through these various stages of sleep every night, and our REM, or rapid eye movement sleep period, becomes longer as the night progresses. So we get all the deep sleep behind us, and then at the end of the night, so towards the morning, we have perhaps up to an hour of REM sleep, and we have super vivid dreams during that time. Parts of the brain are 30% more active during REM sleep than they are in the waking state. So you can imagine the sort of the storm of electrical activity that's happening in the brain. This causes highly weird dreams sometimes. So they're more memorable. You know, do crazy things. You find yourself face to face with a dinosaur, or you find yourself flying to the moon. And this makes it easier as well for us to recognize, hey, this is so weird, it must be a dream, and to become lucidly aware in our dream. So often dream recall is stronger towards the morning, which is why people associate the dream journal with having this journal on your bedside table. And as you wake up in the morning, you start writing down your dreams. But as I said, we can also use voice activation if we want, as long as it doesn't disturb our bed partner, because
Right.
that would be annoying for them. And for me, it's really important to emphasize as well that sleep is super, super important. It's an incredibly healing state. We don't want to interfere with the healing state of sleep. So if you find you wake up in the night and you've had a dream, but you know that if you kind of write it down, or if you talk about it with voice activation, it's going to wake up your partner or wake you up. It's best just to repeat it in your head, imprint it on your memory, and then remember it later. So
Mhm.
always have to see what works best for you so that you get proper sleep. Yeah.
Okay. So so what you're talking about right now, I'm gonna call, sort of dream recall in a way,
Yeah.
because you're writing down or you're recording what is happening. So
Right.
that's happening after you've become aware that you were dreaming, but I'm assuming you're
No, not
awake.
necessarily. Yeah, not
No?
necessarily.
Okay.
So
So
dream
yeah,
recall,
clarify that.
yeah, so dream recall is simply remembering the dream experience that you had. It could have been a lucid dream, but it could have been a non-lucid dream where you had no idea that you were dreaming. So we're just talking about bringing back the memory of that dream to the waking state. And that is dream recall. And then you can write it down or record it in some way. Yeah.
Okay, so then where does so if lucid dreaming is I'm aware that I'm dreaming while I'm in the dream,
Mm.
how does one get to that state?
Right. So there are lots of different ways to cultivate the art of lucid dreaming. And it kind of depends on the sleeper or dreamer that you are. So some people may find that if they're very deep sleepers and they, as soon as their head hits the pillow, they're just like out for the count, then for them, the best moment to attempt to become lucid in a dream might be in that early morning period, like when you manage to have to sleep in at the weekends, for example, and you have a very long period of REM sleep, or to have an afternoon nap. I love afternoon naps. They're fantastic for cultivating lucid dreaming. They also refresh the brain and the body, and they're just fantastic. So if you can squeeze in a nap, like 20 minutes or 30 minutes early afternoon, then that's an amazing time to practice lucid dreaming because you're more alert generally. You don't need loads and loads of deep sleep, so you're more likely to have some lovely dreams during that period. And so you lie down and you relax, you let your breathing slow, and you just start to drift into sleep. You might start to see imagery. This is called hypnagogic imagery. And if you see these images, you can already congratulate yourself because you're already lucid to an extent. You're aware of your unconscious material, these unconscious images that are rising and falling. So that's great. And that can actually take you sometimes into a full-blown lucid dream. So the state of hypnagogia, you can actually watch a dream building. It's like seeing the building blocks of dreams, super fascinating, where you might feel yourself falling or moving forward. You might hear noises. So it's a state where the brain is just transitioning from the awake state to the dream state, and hypnagogia is that middle state. So you can set an intention as you're in this state. Okay, now I am going to have a lucid dream, and just set that intention to be lucid in your dream. That can be really good and just cause a lucid dream immediately. Other people find that it's very helpful to do a dream re-entry as they're falling asleep. So that simply means one of the dreams that you've recalled, could it be from last night or it could be from 5 years ago, it doesn't matter. Just imagine it again in your mind's eye. Really bring it into your mind. Remember how it felt to be running up that mountain effortlessly, whatever it was you were doing in the dream. Really bring it into your body and your mind. Try to see the images. And as you do this, just say to yourself, lucid dream, lucid dream. It's like a reminder, like a small mantra. And doing this dream re-entry can bring you also into the lucid dream state. Other things will start to happen. The scene will move and change, and you'll find yourself lucid in the dream. So those are two possible sort of nap time techniques that you can use if you want to have a lucid nap during the day. And also daily kind of waking state techniques that you can do are just to try to raise your consciousness, your level of conscious awareness as you go about your day, right? So consider, as you're walking around, consider, what state of consciousness am I in right now? Am I a bit sleepy? Am I hyper alert? Am I sort of driving the car on autopilot? There are all these different states of consciousness that we enter all the time during the day. So try and bring your awareness to that and ask yourself, am I dreaming right now? And this is called doing a reality check, just asking yourself, is this a dream? And then really expecting the answer to be yes. So kind of don't just be like, of course I'm not dreaming. I know I'm awake. Sort of say to yourself, how do I know I'm not dreaming? And then you can do this reality check of, for example, you could jump into the air and see if you float. That's one of my favorite checks. It works very well in the dream state because you float up into the air. Beautiful.
Wow.
Or you can try putting your finger through the palm of your hand. As you can see, I'm trying to do it now. It's not working well. But in the dream, you'll find that your finger goes through the palm of your hand. So these are fun little reality checks that you can carry out during the day. And that helps to kind of train your brain so you get into the habit of questioning your state of consciousness and testing your state of consciousness. And the more you do this, the more likely you are to do that in a dream and realize, oh my gosh, I am in fact dreaming right now. Okay, so that's a very popular technique as well. The other thing is to check into your body, like to really experience your body. The dream body feels very different. One of the ways that I often become lucid is that I realize that I'm walking along and I can't feel my feet hitting the ground. I just can't feel them. And I look down and I'm like, oh my gosh, I think I'm dreaming right now. And then I can do the float test or I can try running really fast because you won't get tired in a dream. You run really fast because your physical body is actually lying in bed having a lovely relaxing sleep.
Right.
So it's this feeling of total freedom. So sort of checking into your body and feeling what you feel. Like I can feel my hair tickling my face at the moment. I can feel myself sitting on this chair. I can feel my feet on the floor. Just check into your body during the day. And again, ask yourself, am I dreaming right now? Now, there are loads of other possible techniques, but that might be
Right.
enough for now. Yeah.
Yes, because my next question that I'm thinking about, and I would assume some of the listeners are as well. The question is going to be, so why, what do I get from learning to recognize or become part of a lucid dream? But before you answer that, we've got to take a commercial break. So we'll come back and we'll get the answer to that question on Sleep Science Today. Be sure to visit sleepsciencetoday.com for access to all of our channels and special offers.
Sleep Science Today, and sleep better tonight.
All right, we're back on Sleep Science Today. We're talking about lucid dreams. The question that we left with is, why would someone want to be aware or engage in lucid dreams, and what do they get from doing this?
Mm, yeah. So there are many things we can gain from lucid dreaming. The one that really drew me in to start with, I grew up with many vivid dreams, but also nightmares. So
Hmm.
I had a difficult time when I was young because I had such vivid nightmares and I didn't know how to deal with them. And it was only when I started to become aware that I was dreaming that I understood, oh my goodness, this whole situation, this whole nightmarish situation is responding to my thoughts. I started to understand I'm in a thought responsive environment. I don't need to feel fear. And if I do feel fear, wow, this dream gets so much worse. Everything gets exaggerated when we're fearful in a dream. But when we calm down in a nightmare, we can just relax. The imagery will calm down and grow less scary. And we can ask the monster that's chasing us, why are you chasing me? And it might say something like, oh, I just want to be friends. I'm lonely. And then you make a friend and you've got this very powerful dream monster as your friend and ally.
Wow.
Yeah, it can happen. And sometimes you gain insight into the emotion that's causing that particular nightmare, or you understand which situation in your life is being represented by this bad dream, this difficult dream. I've written a whole book on the art of transforming nightmares with loads of different techniques, over 60 different techniques. And
Wow.
yeah, you can change so much because not only can you talk to the nightmare figures, you can also call for help if you want to. Call for powerful allies to help you, or if you're being faced down by a dinosaur, you could snap your fingers and a helicopter appears to take you to safety. So for children, it's amazing. I've done a lot of work on nightmare solutions with children and with adults, and also with people who suffer from post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD. And sometimes just changing one thing in the lucid dream can just really dissolve the nightmare. So that's one really amazing use for lucid dreaming. But as I got
Hmm.
into it more, I realized it was also an incredible opportunity to learn more about the nature of consciousness
Right.
and how the mind works, how your own particular mind works in that state, because it's like a mirror. Like I said earlier, with the fear becomes amplified. Everything gets absolutely awful, apocalyptic.
Hmm.
That if you learn to calm your mind and be receptive and be open, you can change so much. And you can also enter sort of very deep states. I call it deep lucid dreaming, which is also the name of my website, my company. You can enter these deep states where you allow the dream imagery to fall away and you find yourself floating in beautiful light. It's often golden light or orange light, something very wonderful. And you feel this sense of complete oneness. So it can take you to these states of bliss. And it is so healing, Andrew. It's amazing to have one of these experiences where you're floating in bliss. You wake up and you feel revitalized. You have so much energy to carry on with your day. So it can be very revitalizing in that sense. And there have also been scientific studies done that show that lucid dreaming can help with mental health issues. It can help with depression. It can bring more joy into our lives. There's some people, when they become lucid in a dream, they have fun. They go off and perhaps they have sex, or or they go flying, or they reconnect with someone who they care for deeply. There's so many things you can do. And also just the fact of waking up inside the dream world can infuse your heart with joy. And this can really help us to shift our perspective on life and to understand how important the mind is in helping us to heal. So,
Right.
oh yeah, and also there's on a practical level, you can improve motor skills in lucid dreams. There have been several scientific studies into this, and I was interviewed for one of these studies that was done by Dr. Melanie Schädlich at the University of Heidelberg, and she was testing loads of athletes to see that if they practice their particular sport in their lucid dream, would that actually help their waking performance? And it did. There was one example of a kickboxer, and there was one very complicated kick that he had to do, a sort of reverse lateral kick or something. And he couldn't get it, and he couldn't get it. And then he practiced it in a lucid dream. In that dream, he slowed down time. So he decided
Huh.
to do it slow motion, and he repeated the moves of this very complex kick until he got it in the dream. When he woke up, he could do it. And I've also worked with kids who have been trying to do gymnastic moves, and they've practiced it in their dreams, and they've managed to do it, much better in waking life. It's like something clicks in your brain. I also taught myself to juggle in a lucid dream
Oh
when I
my
was not
gosh.
feeling it. Yeah, I just kind of understood how it worked. I understood that it was just hands turning in circles, which I hadn't really understood during the day when I was wildly throwing balls all over the room. So it can really help to practice skills. You can also practice things like public speaking in a lucid dream. Imagine yourself where you've got this audience of dream people around you, and you practice speaking to them, feeling calm because you know it's a dream and nothing can really go wrong. It's not a waking life situation. So there are all sorts of ways in which we can work with our psyche in lucid dreams. We can work with our mind. I cover a lot of these possibilities in the art of lucid dreaming, which also has so many practical techniques of how to get lucid. It has a lucidity quiz so that people can figure out what kind of a sleeper and dreamer they are, and then fast track to the best techniques for them. It really opens up this whole other world. So it's really fun to get into lucid dreaming for all these experiences and reasons, and more besides.
Yeah, my gosh, there's there's so much in there. Um,
Mm.
let me let
Yeah.
me let's go back to nightmares for a second. Let's start with
Yeah,
that.
let's do that.
So, if I am someone who starts to experience nightmares,
Yeah.
and I am not practiced in the art of lucid dreaming, I've never even heard of
Mhm.
it before,
Yeah.
and somebody tells me about it, and I want to use it to help me with these nightmares,
Yeah.
do I have to, like, it sounds like I have to master the concept first through the process you were describing. So tell me, yeah, what would someone actually
Yeah.
have to do?
So I'm really glad you asked that, Andrew, because a lot of people come to me and they say, I want to heal my nightmares, but I can't get lucid. Or they say, I want to heal some other aspect of myself, but I can't get lucid. Well, I've come up with many original techniques that help people to bridge waking consciousness with lucid dreaming consciousness. And as you can imagine, these involve sort of guided meditations, of which I have very many, but also imaginative exercises to help people. So I'll walk you very quickly through my lucid imaging nightmare solution. You don't have to be a lucid dreamer at all to be able to do this. What you do is when you wake up from a nightmare, you wake up in the night and perhaps you're sweating and you're feeling really scared. first thing to do is attend to your body. Go and have a nice calming drink of water, relax, make sure you feel calm, and check in with yourself. Do I feel ready to work with this nightmare right now? Do I feel safe enough? If the answer is no, don't do it, right?
Mhm,
You can do it
mhm.
with your therapist or with a friend or someone to support you. If you think, yeah, I'm gonna work with this now, you go to step 2, which is you lie down in your bed again with the lights off, you close your eyes, and you re-enter that nightmare. So you bring it back into your mind via the imagery, via the storyline, but you know that you are in control. It's as if you have a remote control, like we use for the telly, and you can fast forward the nightmare, you can rewind it, you can pause it, you can play it. You are the one who's in control of this process. So, what I encourage people to do next is see if there is a tipping point in the nightmare. A tipping point is the moment the dream shifted from being a regular dream that wasn't scary to having anxiety or fear creep in. So, in some dreams, for example, it might be the moment the monster leaps out of the closet and comes to attack you or something. Some nightmares don't have a tipping point; they're just horribly scary or anxiety forming the whole way through. That's fine, in which case you go back to the beginning. So you rewind to the tipping point or just before it, and then you mentally press play and you allow your nightmare to play out. But this time it's as if you are lucid in that nightmare. You are aware. You are able to change things. You are able to ask for help. You are able to ask a clarifying question if you want. Why is this monster chasing you? Or why is that man attacking you? And you can bring in powerful forces, or you can simply just allow that nightmare to play out without fear. And that's sometimes the most powerful thing of all, actually.
Mhm.
Um, so what you do, you just allow that to play out. And if you want, you can change one thing about the nightmare that makes it feel better. For example, you might want to send healing energy to some part of the nightmare. Say you dream about someone who's injured or dying, send them healing energy, see what happens then. So we're not trying to control everything. We're just putting a little input and knowing that we are empowered. We're not victims. We can actually decide to an extent what's happening. And at some point, you'll realize that you've found a solution to your nightmare. You'll feel it in your body. You'll feel better. And that is the moment when you can also move this to become a lucid dreaming technique. So you've resolved your nightmare, and then as you fall happily back to sleep,
Mhm.
you say to yourself, lucid dream, and just allow yourself to go into a lucid dream from there. So
Wow.
that's that technique. I've used it so many times. I teach it on all my lucid dreaming ocean retreats and other workshops. It's in all my books because it's actually very powerful. It combines Carl Jung's active imagination of dream, going back into that dream and imagining it, with things like imagery rehearsal therapy, which was first came. I think that was Dr. Barry Krakow, that came up with that. So these things are tried and tested. You only do it if you feel safe. And sometimes it's absolutely incredible what can change in such a short time. I've done this as well with my daughter, like a 5-minute thing where I've talked her through it when she's woken up in the night with a nightmare when she was younger. And you can really resolve things. And it leaves you feeling empowered. So my message for people around nightmares is that you can change your nightmares. You can change your nightmares, even if they're PTSD nightmares where your brain is constantly rerunning some horrible situation, like from the war or some sort of domestic trauma or abuse. You can still change the pattern of that nightmare by being empowered and releasing the fear and knowing that, just trusting really that a solution will emerge, because it will. And that can really change everything. Yeah.
It's interesting. It's from talking about nightmares itself. Um, for me in the area of behavioral sleep medicine,
Yeah.
one of the big nightmare treatments is called CBTN, cognitive behavioral therapy for nightmares. But a lot of the elements that you're describing are very similar,
Ah,
in terms of the functional aspects that make the change for the person. So
right.
so in following up to one of the other things that you were talking about before, you were describing how people sort of practice skills. You talked about a kickboxer, you talked about gymnasts and all, and practicing skills while asleep versus awake. And the question that I have is, what is it about doing that in your sleep that makes it more effective than trying to practice when you're awake? But before you answer that one, we got to take our next break. So
Okay.
we'll be right back on Sleep Science Today, and we'll get the answer to that question. Be sure to visit sleepsciencetoday.com for access to all of our channels and special offers.
Sleep Science Today. And sleep better tonight.
All right, we're back on Sleep Science Today, and we were just about to get the answer to the question about what makes the lucid dream state help someone practice a skill that they're not able to achieve as much when they're not dreaming.
Mhm. Yes. So what I wanted to say about that is that, of course, the best possible thing is to practice while you're awake. And these athletes, they practice every single day. But what happens when we sleep is that we're coming at this from a different angle. For a start, we're extremely receptive when we sleep. We don't have our critical mind going, you can't do this, that kick is impossible for you, oh, you're failing again. That critical voice, it just vanishes most of the time when we're dreaming. So we have the sense of possibilities. And when we're lucid dreaming, we can just really focus on this task calmly. And what happens is, scientific studies have shown that if a lucid dreamer clenches their fist in a lucid dream, the same area of the brain lights up as if they do clench that fist during waking state. So basically, there is this connection with the physical body, just tiny muscle twitches, right? Really small, but you can measure these in the sleep laboratory. And so it shows that what we do physically in a dream, particularly in the sense of athletes repeating and repeating a particular physical movement, that actually does get transmitted to our nerves, to our muscles. And so that helps in that level as well. So you've got the dream body, waking body connection. So I would say it was to do with those two things. And the neural connections are actually fortified during that lucid dreaming practice. So it's all very exciting, and we're still finding out exactly how it all works. But it's certainly very helpful to dive into that aspect of our human potential. We can expand our human potential when we have lucid dreams, and we can even enhance our physical potential.
Yeah, and so that leads me to the obvious, at least to me, obvious next question, which is, if it's helping with the physical potential, what about
Mhm.
someone who is studying for a big exam? They've got a chemistry test or a biology test or something like that. Would this help with that part of it?
Absolutely. I actually have experience. I can tell you a little story of my life where this really helped. So my first degree that I did was a French degree. And in my final year, I had a lot of lucid dreams, and I was really missing France because I'd spent a year out there in the south of France where it was sunny, and now I was in the north of England where it rained all the time. So in my lucid dreams, I would teleport to the south of France, and I would practice my French. I would walk around the streets in my dreams, or go to a park and speak to a real French person. And of course, the brain records every single thing we see and hear. So the French that I was hearing in my dreams was perfect, beautiful French. And what happened with that was that effectively, while the other students in my year were asleep, I was revising in my lucid dreams. And I ended up getting the best possible degree with an oral distinction and won a prize for best overall performance in the final exams. And I
Wow.
really do believe that it's linked to the fact that I would just practice my French in my lucid dreams. So that's all in this, in my big book, The Complete Book of Lucid Dreaming. I go into all sorts of stories here about what people can do with lucid dreaming. Very exciting. Yeah, so but there are so many things that we can do with the lucid dream state. Another thing I wanted to mention was that lucid dreaming can also become part of insomnia treatment.
Hmm.
So I know that you're as a behavioral sleep medicine clinician, I'm imagining that a lot of people come to you with insomnia issues, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. And I'd love to hear what you recommend to them. Well, basically, what I've done, my most recent book is Elixir of Sleep. And
Hmm.
this gives loads of practical techniques and has a sleep quiz and all of this. But this has many ways of working with insomnia. Now, one of the things, I don't know if you've heard about this before, Andrew, is a humming technique. So
No.
humming is said to actually increase the production of melatonin, which, as we know, is the sleep hormone that helps us to fall asleep. It's known in Hinduism, it's part of a yoga or a breathwork technique called
Hmm.
Brahmari Pranayama. And it's very simple. You lie down, you've got your eyes closed, you relax, you breathe in, and as you breathe out, you hum on the exhalation. It's extremely calming for the nervous system. I have used this technique not only with people who suffer from insomnia during the night, they wake up and they start stressing and ruminating, can't get back to sleep. It's helped them. And it's also helped people, my clients, some of whom have had stage 4 cancer, and they've been waking up in the night due to pain, and they can't get back to sleep again. But this humming is just so beautiful. It causes a vibration through the body. It's very calming, and as I say, it increases the production of melatonin, according to a book called The Humming Effect. So
Wow.
this is a really lovely one. It's so beautiful. In my book, Elixir of Sleep, I also give ideas for yoga postures, like yoga poses you can do in bed. Really
Uh-huh.
nice ones, which also have that effect of just relaxing the nervous system, and reducing the hyperarousal of the nervous system, which sometimes happens, that you get these neurobiological factors that contribute to insomnia. So doing calming things like humming, combining that with a yoga pose that you can easily do in bed, that can be absolutely beautiful. And I also have an insomnia freedom technique in the Elixir of Sleep. I'll just
Hmm.
quickly share that.
Sure.
This is also a funny story because a guy came on one of my lucid dreaming ocean retreats and he said to me, "Oh, Claire, for 20 years I haven't been able to sleep properly." And I said, "Well, what do you do when you wake up in the night?" He said, "Oh, I've got this such a cool gadget. I've got a digital ceiling clock. And when I wake up in the night, I stare at the clock." And I just laughed. I just laughed, honestly, because that's the worst thing you can do, right? Is to watch the seconds ticking away, knowing that you're not sleeping and that your alarm clock is going to go off. I mean, it's just so funny. So I said, "Oh, forgive me for laughing, but that's probably the worst thing that you can do." I said, "I would turn that off. I would get rid of your phone, get it out of your room." And I said, "Try this instead. When you next wake up in the night, sit up in bed in the darkness and take 21 breaths, 21 breaths. And the trick here is that you've got to try and not to have trivial, annoying ruminations or thoughts during these breaths. So it's just total presence. And if you start getting these thoughts interrupting you, you've got to go back to breath number 1. Okay.
Oh.
So you do this for 21 breaths, and then you can do a dream reentry if you like. Think of a beautiful dream you had and just imagine it. And then the best bit comes where you just lie back down again and you relax and you allow yourself to fall asleep. And here you can also set the intention to have a lucid dream if you want to. Now, this guy went off, came the next day. He was so happy. He'd done this. He got rid of his ceiling clock and he'd done the 21 breath technique. And not only had he gone straight back to sleep, but he'd had a powerful lucid dream in which he sorted out a situation with his ex-wife. And that had felt very healing for him. So he was super happy. Now,
Wow.
yeah. So it can work. It may not be that dramatic for everyone. It may not happen on the first night, but it's a very beautiful, relaxing exercise that you can try if you wake up in the night and can't fall back to sleep again. Yeah.
Wow. Wow. Yeah. Some of these things I had not heard of before. So I'm glad to be learning about them now. So, where did you learn these? Or are these things that you came up with yourself?
I came up with them myself, a lot of them. I mean, I've come up basically all my life. So for pretty much 50 years, I've been focused on lucid dreaming, sleep. I used to have sleep paralysis where you feel like you're trapped inside your body. I used to have nightmares. I used to have out of body experiences. I had a ton of lucid dreams. I did sleepwalking when I was little. So I had a really, really strong
Wow.
dream life, Andrew. Yeah.
Right.
So I've had my whole life basically to figure out how this all works, and also how to bring myself into a state of deep relaxation. I'm also a yoga teacher, and doing that with all the breath work, that's super helpful, because you try that in the night, and if you're used to it, it immediately takes you into a calmer state. Your belly relaxes. You start to feel your mind emptying. So yoga is a very important part of my path as well. But yeah, I've created hundreds of techniques, and then I test them out with my students and workshops. I have an online school where I have guided meditations to help people to fall asleep. Or to have lucid dreams. So it's my life's path. I had no choice. This was what life did when I was little, you know. It's like, right, you're going to learn all about sleep and dreams and lucid dreaming. And okay, no choice.
Sounds like
Yeah.
it's been very successful for you. So
Uh,
I hate to say that we've actually reached our time because that
oh,
kind of flew by. But let me
yeah.
ask you this. So obviously you've shared some books with us, and then I understand you've written even more books, and then you talk
Oh.
about your workshops and all. How do you have a website or something where people could go and learn more about this if they want to follow up?
Absolutely. My website has a ton of information on it. It's called deepluciddreaming.com. And you'll find everything there. All my retreats and workshops, my online classes, my guided meditations, but also loads and loads of free information about all of the things we've just talked about: nightmares and insomnia, lucid dreaming, sleep in general. So yeah, please head over there if you're interested in this topic, and feel free to connect with me at some point. Come on a retreat if you want to. The next one's in Hawaii
Oh,
in
wow.
June. Yeah. Yeah. And I'm going to be speaking at a dream conference of the International Association for the Study of Dreams right before that. I'm the opening keynote. That's in Oregon. So if people are interested in coming to a dream conference, they might want to do that. That's in 13th of June. And then my Hawaii retreat starts on the 20th of June, goes for 4 days.
Oh
And
my
it's all about
gosh.
healing dreams. Yeah. Yeah.
Wonderful.
It's
Wow.
great.
Well, I encourage people, if you're listening and you have an interest in following up on some of this information, now you've got the great resource to do so. Dr. Johnson, I really appreciate your time. Like I said, this is a topic we have not covered before, and I'm really excited that now we have. So
Great.
thank you.
You're welcome.
And
Thanks so much for inviting me onto your show. It's so much fun.
yes, yes. And for those of you that are listening, feel free to always join us at sleepsciencetoday.com, where you can find all of these episodes and back episodes and new episodes. We've got them on YouTube, so you can actually watch the podcast happen, or you can go ahead and listen on several different channels. So join us again on Sleep Science Today, and we will have some more sleep science for you. Thank you, Dr. Johnson.
Thank you so much, Andrew. Thank you.
You have been listening to Sleep Science Today, your #1 sleep authority.